All right, well, hello everybody. Welcome to your lesson, your CPD on the RNIP. So this program is one of the newest programs in Canada. I think it's a very special program because if you've been working in immigration, if you've been a fan of immigration, I guess, and kind of following the general trends of how Canada is meeting its immigration obligations, you've probably noticed that um, immigration has become more and more localized. There's a lot of research that shows, of course, that when these specific communities need specific people, well, there's programs to help with this. So we've got one of the, I think, I've been calling you the RNIP RCIC in my notes. Don Curry is going to be joining us today, and he's a fantastic person, a fantastic RCIC, and he's a newer RCIC as well, who's focused on the RNIP for his business. But really, he's been working in localized immigration services for quite some time. So that's going to be a fantastic opportunity for us to have, I think, a lot of insight into how programs like this work on the ground. And we will have Patricia Carr with us as well. So she's the coordinator for the RNIP in North Bay. So we get the community side of this as well. So that's going to be a fantastic day, a fantastic lesson. I hope you're looking forward to it. And I'll introduce the presenters over here. So I think for a lot of you probably know me already. So I'm an RCIC, just like all of you. And we have, I would say, a small immigration company over here. So we are 3 RCICs with our company over here, and we kind of specialize in certain areas, right? So we focus on spouses, sometimes express entry if a person exceeds the CRS cutoff score, education and transitioning to PR, and it's always a good opportunity to learn about all of these newer programs, because it's important to find a niche, right, or another area for you to work in to help your clients. Personally, on my side, I'm really involved in the education side of immigration. So I do a lot of examining for a certain exam that's used for immigration, a language exam. A lot of teaching, a lot of consulting for immigration, a lot of business consulting for immigration consultants. And I think you probably know my background already, so I'll skip over that. And something that we're doing this year, anyways, with the variety of CPD teachers that we have, is to talk about your best RNIP story. I don't really have an RNIP story just yet because it is a new program. I haven't had the opportunity to meet the perfect client for this yet and kind of work through the process. I think if I did meet the perfect client for this, I'd work with Don anyways on that. But in preparing this lesson and working through Don's website, his blog, and of course all the governmental information out there for this, I would say the best RNIP story I've got has to do with Patricia Carr, who we're going to have a chat with in a little bit as well. And she had kind of it was like a press release sort of thing, or an email or something like that went out to interested people, I guess, who are contacting her about the RNIP in North Bay. And it was pretty thorough, but a lot of it was discussing kind of the updates that are happening. And then a large part of the information was referring people to government websites and things like that, which is fine. And then another part was something about how she's pleading with people she says, please do not contact me on Facebook. Please don't add me on WhatsApp. Please stop calling. Please, everything. I'll get information out to you when I can. And then she mentions that she had 3,300 people to get back to. And I think it's a good story because I think it shows a couple of things. I think it shows, number one, that these communities like North Bay, when they join the RNIP, they're really opening up to the world. So it sounds like she got a lot of emails from all over the world from people who want more information about this program. And the second part has to do with you as RCICs. I think the lesson from that story is that the work you do is helping, of course, someone like Patricia, who's in charge of the RNIP for North Bay, because you are sort of acting like a filter for her And if you know your stuff, about the RNIP, for example, and someone asks you questions about this, perfect. I mean, you're saving time for that client. You're saving time for the community representative of that program as well. And you're solidifying yourself as an immigration professional. So I think there's a couple of good lessons from that story. We'll be able to, of course, talk to Patricia in a little bit here. So in, I don't really know, maybe 25 minutes or so. Okay, so this is Patricia. So she's the RNIP coordinator for the North Bay region. So it's going to be really interesting for us to get that perspective from her, because we're going to have, I think, a pretty detailed perspective from Don, who's kind of like on the ground in North Bay and was one of the, I would say he was one of the influential people to really promote the need for a program like the AIPP, but in other rural communities. And we're going to discuss this as we progress. And of course, I've got a list of questions that came in from people, from RCICs, to ask Patricia and to ask Dawn. I think for Patricia, I've got about 13 questions, if I'm not mistaken. And we're going to learn, I think, a lot from her and from Dawn as well. So speaking of Don Curry, so here he is. I call him the RNIP RCIC, and I'll let him introduce himself.
Well, thanks very much, Kyle. You say your firm is small with 3 RCICs. Well, I'm working all by myself, so I'm even smaller. As you mentioned, I'm new at it. I just got my RCIC license in November of 2019, so my practice is roughly 10 months old. But then at the same time, in November 2019, the RNIP program was being rolled out. So obviously that's going to be a niche for me, because I live and work in North Bay. I've lived here for 42 years, so I know the community inside out. And as you mentioned, I was one of the people, probably the first one publicly to campaign for such a program. As a journalist, I had access to the media, and I was writing columns about the need for something like the Atlantic Immigration Pilot, because it came out in 2017 and was seen as a success. I've been to the Maritimes a number of times. It looks a lot similar to Northern Ontario, so I thought, why not us? And other people picked up the ball, and we'll talk about that a little bit later, about how the whole program came into being. Before being an RCIC, I was involved in immigration. I was doing immigration consulting for municipalities, helping them with strategic planning and programs on how to attract immigrants, developing websites, that sort of thing. Also, a number of years as the executive director of a settlement agency with offices in both North Bay and Timmins. So I've seen it from that side, and we'll talk about the role of settlement agencies later in the session. My best RNIP story is my clients. I call them 001. They contacted me before I even had my license to practice. They'd seen my writings online. They'd been researching cities in Canada where they'd like to come to. And for some reason, they settled on North Bay. And then they saw that I was going to become an immigration consultant. They wanted to be my first client. So I said, sure enough. And they're still in India. Unfortunately, COVID has set them back. They can't leave. So we're gonna try to get them connected through the RNIP program in North Bay. They've been a very active family. They have 3 children. They've developed 2 videos that are on YouTube of songs they've written and produced about North Bay. And the family is active on Facebook trying to make friends in North Bay. So that's my RNIP story, and I really do hope that they are successful in getting here, because I want to meet these folks in the flesh.
Yeah, it's amazing. And I think that family as well, it really represents what the RNIP is about, right? It's super, super localized for people who are interested in going to really live in the community. I find it's more kind of community, I don't want to say community driven, that's all over the websites, but it's people who will, I guess, or want to integrate, pardon me, into the community rather than simply people kind of looking for economic opportunities, right?
Yes, yes. They looked at the community. They looked at the photos online. The North Bay website and other websites about North Bay. The size of the community really appealed to them. They have their eldest daughter is in senior high school, so they saw that there was a university here, and they said, "Oh, she can stay home and go to university." So those were all pluses for them.
Yeah, fantastic. Yeah, great. And then I've got